But firstly, just to say thank you for Thierry Deron, because in fact we took a lot of lead from them, and their Sport for Protection toolkit was incredibly helpful and supportive for us and for the IOC Young Leaders. Wherever we find projects through our young leaders, we always try and assess what resources are available and take guidance from those who are doing a good job. So I also want to say a personal thank you to you for everything you've done. So in terms of the IOC Young Leaders, as Philippe mentioned, that was a perfect segue, your final point, in terms of youth and how to empower them, and the idea that we need to give them the opportunity to take the lead. It's not a box ticking exercise at the International Olympic Committee. We've really committed to that, and we've put a programme behind it in the IOC Young Leaders. Every year, although unfortunately not this year for obvious reasons, we do hold an IOC Youth Summit that brings those young leaders together. And Philippe, I don't know if you want to action the video now, because that will give us a bit of background into the
We'll
summit.
do that. Thank you very much. So let's watch this.
Perfect.
It doesn't matter how you got here, where you're from, which network connected you to us. We are all part of a family, we're all a community, and we are part of a movement that believes in the power of sport, right? You guys are doing it every day in your projects, with your initiatives. You are making tangible differences in people's lives, and you are having an impact.
It's really important to be a part of this IOC Youth Summit because you're meeting people from different countries from all over the world. So you're learning about their experiences with sports for change, and you learn from their mistakes and from their successes as well.
We might not be in the same continent, but we can get to a solution together.
These youth summits are for me always a highlight of the year. And now they have evolved into a group of young leaders. They see now the full picture. They are part of the decision-making process within the IOC. So there we get a lot of inspiration for the future of the Olympic Games and the Olympic movement.
You a bit of background about the young leaders, and there was some familiar faces. Philippe, full disclosure, Philippe was there at the very beginning with myself, and Philippe launched the programme back in 2016. The idea being that we had a firm belief that youth could be the change. Just as we were saying in the previous presentation, we had a job convincing people that sport can be the change and has the power to bring about changes in society. We also have a bit of a struggle when it comes to convincing people that youth can be part of that change. So when you put youth and sport together, it has been, we have had a bit of a uphill, I wouldn't say challenge, uphill opportunities to convince people that actually youth can be the change through sport. So this started in 2016 when we were at the Youth Olympic Games with a separate programme called the Young Ambassadors. And we realised that these young people needed no convincing in the power of sport. They were already actioning incredible initiatives and projects in their communities where they saw sport empower their peers, bring confidence to their peers, break down barriers. So what we did as the International Olympic Committee was simply harness an opportunity to give them the tools to bring what they already had, their conviction, into a reality. I believe that we have some slides, but I can't action them from here. So we do have a brochure, and on page 4, we have some statistics. But since 2016, we have empowered the initiation of 116 sport-led projects around the world. And we do this by providing space for the young leaders to receive expert guidance and mentorship. That's via the summit itself, where we bring speakers together, but it's also through providing seed funding, so up to 5,000 Swiss francs, which allows them to deliver their projects. We've seen projects delivered in 56 countries. I believe we've managed it in every continent so far. And through those projects, we've reached 30,000 people. But what we've done slightly differently is listened intently to them. So rather than coming with a template in what we feel they should be doing in their community, we've given them freedom to assess what needs and challenges are in their local space and how sport can address it. So we've had various projects, and Eric will go into details about his, which has been fantastic, and he's now handed the gauntlet to the next generation of young leaders. But we've seen projects such as you may have seen Carolina in the video from Panama. She comes from an area where there is a high rate of domestic abuse, and she worked with Refuges for Women to empower these women through sport, through martial arts, and held free sessions for them on a weekly basis. And on top of that, being the creative and solution-driven girl that she is, realised that one of the barriers to going to these weekly sessions was childcare. So she created resources and a childcare facility for the children, so that the women could come and enjoy a free boxing class to empower them while their children were in a safe space. The programme has been so successful that 2 of the women have now been promoted or trained to be instructors, and they now offer paid-for classes to the local community. So the project itself becomes self-sustainable. And that's one of the struggles we've had through the years, and you alluded to it in the previous session, was the idea of creating sustainable projects. And so since last year, we've worked with the Yunus Sports Hub, which is founded by Mohammed Yunus, the Nobel Peace Laureate, Nobel Peace Prize winner, and the founder of Social Business, to basically look at a model that is sustainable, that isn't reliant on our seed funding every year, but allows the young leaders to develop sustainable social business models that are sport focused. In fact, this year, we've moved away from what was a yearly cycle to a 4-year scholarship cycle. So we will select 25 young people from around the world, and over 4 years, we will take them from an ideation or their conviction that sport has the power to change their community, and help them build a social business from the ground up, help them deliver it, and then help them scale it and create sustainable social business by the end of that 4 years. And over that 4 years, they will be part of a curriculum that will allow them to have access to various experts. They will also receive 10,000 Swiss francs over the 4 years for the various stages. And ultimately, we want them to become leaders, mentors themselves, and also demonstrate that sport is a powerful tool for change in community. I don't think we've managed to show my slides, but just to mention that as well as empowering them in their communities, I will say there's been something of a shift within the IOC because of, quite frankly, the inspirational young people that these are. As people have come into contact with them and realised that rather than just being being a box ticking exercise. They have valued opinions. They really understand what it means to deliver change at a grassroots level, and they are now part of the highest decision-making body in sport. We have 17 IOC Commission members, and they, I think, in fact, are meeting next week for the Commission cluster, Eric.
That's correct, yep.
Yeah, and people are listening to them. It's not a case of, as I say, a case of ticking the box. It's a case of having conversations with people who are presidents of national federations, people from the National Olympic Committees, people within the IOC, and sharing what they have genuinely seen on the ground and the power of sport. So it's been a fantastic journey. We've only just got started, I would say, with this next iteration of the programme. And we're actually still open for registration for that programme if anyone listening is interested, which we will share after the panel. And the idea is that we want it to be open to all. We want people who've never heard of a National Olympic Committee to be able to join in and to learn that sport can be the change. And we want to empower young people with the tools and the resources to lead and not do it for them, because they're quite capable, as we have seen over the last 4 years. So thank you for the time to speak about that. I know Eric will go into more detail about his experience, but on the whole, we've been very lucky over the last 4 years to have a president that's believed in the programme, supported the programme, and is always happy to jump on a call and speak to the IOC young leaders and really demonstrate that he believes in them. So I would just reiterate the previous lasting comment, which is to empower your youth, you have to give them the tools and an opportunity, and really just to believe in them.